Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jennifer, and we are a middle-aged couple with a Regal Unlimited subscription and an everlasting fetish for movie theater popcorn.
An unbearable passion for movie popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
A doomed love for the ages for popcorn.
It's not doomed, it is always requited.
Unbearable, self-destructive, disastrous, star-crossed, destroyed by sort of sisters and kind of not, and then gets really weird at the end. Love
Self-destructive love of popcorn, that's definitely true.
So what did we see, Jennifer?
We didn't see anything.
Okay.
Individually.
Individually, we both saw Wuthering Heights.
Yep.
And now we're going to do a video.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of us knows what the other person thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, what are you going to do? But Jennifer, I remember when we were just children and I was bought at a hanging by your alcoholic and abusive father, and then you named me after your dead brother. I could go on.
I will just say, first of all, I have never read this book.
Okay, I have.
I also have, an irrational hatred for 19th century Gothic novels.
I do not.
I don't get why anybody reads any of this shit. As with many things, it's like all the derivatives of it.
Yeah.
I understand, the 20th and 21st century romance novel.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, star-crossed love romance and, all the derivatives that come from these novels. But the originals, the ones that I've read, I'm just like, why? So I know this movie, riffs with the plot of this book. I did not know the plot of this book until reading a synopsis of the plot of the book, just before the movie came out, because I realized all I know about this movie is the names of the story. The original story is the name of the author, the name of the two main characters, and something about the Moors. I'm like, okay, maybe I should know something about this if I'm actually going to see this movie. This movie is utterly gorgeous,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if this is directing or cinematography or the two working together. But this movie is utterly gorgeous. This movie is so batshit. The fact that anybody looks at this story, either the summary of it in the book or in this movie, as a romance, I don't even understand. They're all assholes.
Uh-huh.
They're all assholes.
Yeah.
Why?
Especially her.
Especially her. Why am I supposed to be sympathetic to all assholes?
Because they can't help themselves. They're so in love.
When didn't this book come out in 1820 or something
1840 something.
1840s. In the 1840s, it was still possible to get on a boat and go to the U.S. and fuck everything else, or go to Australia or whatever. Literally just run away and disappear. Understood. They could do it together.
Fate couldn't bring him back.
She couldn't
help but bring him back.
Dick there anyway.
Okay.
Except this inflated sense of herself in this dooms.
Even when
I got no words.
Even when Emily Bronte wrote this, she clearly intended it to be not so much a satire as much as a damning attack on the idea of love stories.
Well, I don't know that literally anyone on Earth that's currently alive understands that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard that book discussed in that way. People were in the bathroom talking about I held off on crying until I'm crying for what? Oh my God. This can all be over if one of them dies. Maybe both of them. Let's just Romeo and Juliet it. Let's just die together. Great. Because then it's all over.
So I saw this at the Alamo Draft House.
Mm-hmm.
And before every showing at the Alamo Draft House, they do a little pre-show. Which is just a cute little montage of clips of something relating to the story or whatever.
But it can also be like educational and informative sometimes.
Yes,
Depends on what the
this,
topic is.
there was absolutely no shortage of things for them to do. So they ran the Monty Python skit of Wuthering Heights in Semaphore.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, and they had the Bronte sisters action figures. Yeah,
Which are
but
what,
also
3 white tubes with consumption or something.
no, they're little dolls, and they have books in their hands, and
Okay.
they go and attack the publishers and go, "Ha! A woman can write a book."
Didn't they all like die at age like 3 or something?
2 of them died pretty young. 1 of them lived pretty long.
Okay.
Anyway, but one of the things they did in this pre-show was they showed you how many times this book has been filmed, and it's like dozens of times.
Yeah.
This is one of the most filmed books of all time. Most famously, it was made in 1939 with Laurence Olivier as Heathcliff.
Does Heathcliff have a first name?
Heathcliff is his name.
Okay, because they kept calling him Mr. Heathcliff, and I'm like,
yeah.
Well, does he have a first name, or is that his first name? So then what's his last name?
I mean,
because it is
movie,
England, everybody has his surname?
According to the movie, that's his entire name. He's not Heathcliff Earnshaw.
Understood. But later, Linton is calling him Mr. Heathcliff and saying that Isabella is now Mrs. Heathcliff.
Yes. So, as many interpretations of Wuthering Heights have done, Heathcliff is presented not so much as a human being as an elemental force.
Okay.
An object of desire that cannot be resisted.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed about the cinematography, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but was that, Margot Robbie appears in almost every frame of this movie and is in the center of almost every frame. Like, there were parts of Margot Robbie's facial physiognomy that I never knew before that I got highlighted in this film just endlessly.
Did you notice her skin?
What about it?
The walls.
Oh, yes,
in her bedroom. Yes.
We can talk about that, but yes. But whereas Heathcliff often, Jacob Elordi often just is a shadow in the background of a shot, or he's emerging from darkness, or he's, off center in the frame at least, so that he feels like he's just this thing intruding on Margot Robbie's life. And
I wouldn't interpret it that way, but that's okay.
All right. But that's just how I thought of it while watching the movie. Mm-hmm. And it is just an interesting interpretation where, like, literally these two have been in love forever, and they always will be, and there's nothing you can do about it. The whole world tries to keep them apart, fails, and then she dies.
But it's not the whole world tries to keep them apart. It's she does her best to keep them apart in order to fulfill the role that she expects to have in the world, but she's too immature to accept the role that she's been told is the role that she should have in the world. And, like, none of it makes any sense, like, which I guess it's not supposed to, but, like, none of it makes any sense in the context of the time period, right? Of whatever time period this is supposed to be. Like, if this is the time period where, like, propriety matters, she's alone way too much, right?
Oh, we threw that out.
And
that's not part of this movie.
We threw those kinds of things out, and, but yet she marries for position and for money.
Because Nell, played by Hong Chow.
Nellie.
Her full name is Nellie Dean.
Okay, but she calls her Nellie in the movie.
She calls her all kinds of things.
Whatever. Because
Nellie convinces her that she should marry Linton, and then she sees Heathcliff approaching out the window and gets Kathy to say that she's done with Heathcliff and is going to marry Linton instead.
But it's not like the idea had never crossed her mind, right? She made a point of going to find him.
Yes, because she's such an immature child. No,
I might finish my point.
Please go
about
ahead.
how I saw this, right? So, like, the point I was trying to make was about the the movie not making sense or the character not making sense, or if it is that she's supposed to be so immature, but that she understands that she's supposed to be marrying for position and can't suck it up and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if the point, like her disgusting father in that time period would only see her as a tool to make money for the household, to sell her to make money for the household, and that he's not actively trying to do that makes no sense, right? And it's not just because that there's no neighbor within 5 miles, right? Like, you would actively be trying to do that. So if he's so far off the deep end that he can't even actively try and do that, she should know that she needs to do that. If I'm supposed to believe that she's over 16, she knows she needs to do that, even if she doesn't want to, because she wants this boy that can't bring the money in that they need. Like, that's what the tension should be, is that she knows that she has to, and has to engage in this loveless marriage for either her own safety or her family's safety, and she doesn't want to do it. But the tension is, she does want to do it because she wants to be safe, but she doesn't want to. But then, like, it seemed like people acting like they were 12 after the characters were no longer 12.
Sure.
And that just doesn't do it for me. So it's just like, this is, and again, it's like, I only know like derivative stories of these kinds of things. But like, you can't be someone that age who's clearly supposed to be like, late teens, early 20s, and be a woman who understands that your bloodline and your title, or your access to a title, is what you have to offer, to not think that you're supposed to offer that to somebody who gives you money in exchange.
Right.
Like so it's like, what has she been smoking up there on the moors to like not have gotten this? Like, I don't know. Like, it just seems so, they both, like at the end in the like, big scene where, Hong Chow figures out that she's actually dying, and she's like, you guys are both immature assholes. I'm like, yes, can I stand up and cheer? Like, I know I'm supposed to hate you in this movie. You are obviously the evil character that's derailing everything. But, you're the only one that's got a fucking brain. That's where I'm done about that part of the movie. There's other things for me to say.
So I feel like this is not a movie about characters. It's not about human beings. I think that each character in this movie is representing some aspect of human psychology taken to an absurd or monstrous degree. Now, I know that's a big claim. I think that Kathy is just an appetite. I don't think that she has an inner life beyond I want. She just wants things. And she has no compunctions whatsoever about expressing those wants to everyone around her, and then making them feel bad if they don't immediately provide her with her wants. And for some reason, everybody in her life wants to provide for those wants. God knows why. She's a monstrous person and just unbearably awful to everyone around her. Now, Emerald Fennell clearly was like, oh no, but she's also a romantic heroine, so we need to make her somewhat relatable, or at least sympathetic.
Where was she sympathetic?
So I'm going to take the other two female characters in this movie and make them even more bizarrely awful.
Yeah.
Or bizarre, at least, to a point where Kathy starts looking good. So Hong Zhao's character, Nellie, is bitter and resentful and ends up literally murdering Kathy by neglect. because she refuses to listen to what Nellie says or what Kathy says about her own health. And Isabella, so Linton's ward, who then becomes Mrs. Heathcliff, is portrayed as a sexually depraved little demon imp in a way that was really kind of unsettling to watch. That last part of the movie where she's living with Heathcliff and just engaging in puppy play and things is so anti-sex and anti-kink. It was just like really gross. And just totally took me out of any kind of understanding of what she was trying to say about Heathcliff. Like, up to that point, Heathcliff was kind of a, sympathetic character. This boy who had been bought and given to Kathy as a pet to the point where she gets to actually name him, and then who will literally take a beating for Kathy over and over and over again, seems like an okay dude. Except he's gonna force her. He doesn't force her to do anything, but he's going to engage with her in a destructive sex affair in carriages and in the back garden and everywhere else that everybody knows is going to destroy her life and his probably. And yeah, and then along comes Isabel and he goes, "Oh, this is a way to get at Kathy."
Right, but isn't that in the book? Like that he,
yes and no.
Like the Isabella character, maybe doesn't have the same relationship or something,
she's
but that
just
he
a sweet innocent child.
Right, but he revenge marries somebody, and ends up being abusive to her, and she runs away from him because he's so awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, none of these characters
this is the modern version of that, where you show it in this depraved sexual way, which I'm sure is not described in any book written in the 1840s.
There's a lot of sex in this movie. None of it is from the book. As far as I know, in the book, Kathy and Heathcliff never actually have sex.
Right.
They just want to really badly.
And that's bad enough, and that destroys your life. And I get that kind of story, and the idea that, the element of the story that this, overweening desire for sex will destroy you. But yeah, it's just they're not. Yeah, I mean, they're not interesting as characters, but I don't think they ever would be, right? I don't think I would find them interesting as characters on the page, right. In the way the story is intended to be told. They look good together. They look good in the costumes, right?
And they've got plenty of chemistry.
Sure, as much as the characters have any chemistry, right? Mm-hmm. Where their chemistry I find kind of repulsive, and yeah, I don't know, like I said, there are some astonishingly beautifully visual moments in this movie, and some of those moments are made beautiful partially because of the bodies and the shapes of the two main actors, right? And most of what I'm talking about is not about the people, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I guess I just don't have a whole lot of patience for the idea that that there is a passion that passion that's self-destructive. That I guess I do get, but I don't get the, no, stop, yes I will, oh, of course I want this, but no, and yes and no, and I'll slap you, and then no, I don't have any patience for that kind of stuff, and I don't find it romantic. I don't find indecision romantic. I don't find oh, wait a second, are you chasing me? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. are you chasing me? Like, I don't have any patience for that in, like, the modern day, in my own relationships. Like, I don't see it as romantic. Like, to be honest, I found I kept thinking about Pillion before we got to the BDSM part of the movie, and was like, I would rather be in that relationship than in this one, from the beginning to end.
So,
like,
okay. So is it safe to say you did not like this movie?
Here's the thing. I can't say that I didn't like this movie.
Yep.
Because I thought it was so visually interesting, and that, made with slightly less care for the visual, I'd find it intolerable. And because I was watching things that were so visually rich and interesting, I was able to tolerate it.
Mm-hmm.
But, the plot, what was happening in the movie was just like, you got to be joking me. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get having teenagers read this book. I don't get having anybody see this as, like, again, as, like, completely antithetical to romance as the movie Pillion was. It's more romantic than this.
I don't disagree with that at all.
And maybe healthier in the end.
Sure, because Colin moves on.
Not through the course of the movie, but at the end, the possibility of health is there, where this movie ends with no health, with dementia, death, and and Isabella, like, probably carted off to the insane asylum.
So I loved this movie.
What's to love?
I loved this movie. I really, really enjoyed it.
What's to love about it?
So the two of them are insufferable 100%, and they are awful people. They're monsters. Everybody in this movie is a monster. Maybe not Linton.
No, he's not a monster. He's just too dumb to live.
No, he knows exactly what's going on, and he's just... He wants it to be okay. He wants her to be happy, even if that means being cuckolded. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I loved about this movie... I loved how weird it was. This is a weird movie. This is a David Lynch movie. This is a crazy, weird movie. There's stuff in this movie that I still am thinking about. By the fact that, so, of course we're spoiling the whole damn thing.
Sure.
So, Kathy's bedroom in her new home, her husband has gone to the lengths of having it painted to look like her own skin, down to moles and freckles and veins and things, to the extent that late in the movie, when they're trying to help her save her from dying, they put leeches on her, and they just put leeches on the walls as well, because you might as well.
I think you're supposed to imagine that that's happening, because
nothing in this is real.
Well, leeches aren't going to stick to a wall.
Nothing in this movie is supposed to be real. This movie starts with a hanging that is so erotic that people are fucking in the marketplace.
Well, and that there's actually a nun in public in the marketplace watching this happen.
By watching this man die and come in his pants.
Well, that there's a nun on the streets of the UK in 1840. Sure. Like, no.
Yeah. No, again, none of this is supposed to be real. This is not an attempt to recreate the 19th century. One iota of this. No, there's so much weird stuff. There's the scene where Earnshaw is dead and the whole room is just filled up with gin bottles.
I guess I couldn't make out that's what it was.
And then Kathy kicks him, says how much she loves her father, and then kicks him so hard his dentures fly out of his mouth.
I'm sorry, that was a part of the movie that actually made literal sense. Where you have an abusive parent and you hate them and you love them.
Yep.
And to be honest, I've actually seen that scene before.
Yeah.
And it was in Magnolia.
Yeah.
And it was Tom Cruise doing it to Jason Robards. Like, it's literally the same scene. That was just believable.
Yeah. It's the most humanity Kathy is allowed to have in the entire film. So, Yeah, but there are just so many weird things in this movie. At one point, she like sticks her finger through aspic so she can shove her finger into a fish's mouth for no reason, just to be weird.
No, because oh god, no, that
Because the
actually
fish
is.
is trapped in the aspic, and she's like
There's that,
trying
but
to reach out to something that is just as trapped as she is.
no, was that after the? That's either just after or just before the scene where Heathcliff is licking her fingers.
Oh no, no, long after,
After then.
long after.
Okay. Well, that's what I thought about.
Okay, fair enough. Uh, it's just a weird movie, and I loved the weirdness of it. I liked just how this was turned into just opera. This was heightened emotions, heightened visuals, heightened people, and just everything in this movie is taken to 11. It is crazy. Parts of this movie are just crazy, and it's about obsessive love and how crazy that is. And again, I mean, Bronte wrote it to be a critique of love. I truly believe this. And I think this movie is, at its core, a critique of love. And the movie constantly is giving you all of these signifiers of here's the great romantic story of all time. The greatest love story of all time is actually in the marketing materials.
Yeah.
And yet, what we are given is two horrible people who literally cannot stop having sex with each other, even though it's going to kill them both. Like, that's what we get. And it is...
I mean, you know, like, I guess I don't think this is meant to be a critique of that. I think this is meant to be, like...
a celebration of it?
Yeah. Because I think that's how people react to this book. Why else are people still reading this book and calling it a romance?
Yeah.
That it's like that is love when it's that obsessive. And I mean, you know, like, you know, an overwoman reading of all of this stuff, like, sex is death in the sense that, like, you get pregnant, you are not unlikely to die, right? Like, so Nellie didn't kill her. Linton killed her because he knocked her up.
Or did Heathcliff kill her? There's a question of whether...
I think the idea in the movie is supposed to give you that she's pining for Heathcliff, and that's what's actually killing her.
Yeah.
But that, you know, the biology is, you know,
it
like
was
Linton would know
me.
the term septicemia, which
Sure.
I don't even know existed at the time.
It was suggested to me that Heathcliff's thrusting in sex was enough to cause the miscarriage.
If that were the case, there'd be like 3 billion people on the planet. I'm sorry. Like,
again, not an attempt to do reality.
Understood, but no, I did not get that or read that at all.
Okay.
I took it as you're supposed to be thinking that she's pining for him and that that's what's truly destroying her inside.
Yeah, fair enough.
And, you know, this inconvenient biology thing that's actually what's killing her, like, is the biological reality. And, you know, my take on, you know, the dying from pregnancy is, of course, who's at fault? The sperm donor, right? Like, and not, I don't think the movie is trying to tell you that Linton killed her. Not at all. I'm just saying that that's how I always think about this kind of stuff in fiction, right? Like, and in 19th century fiction and whatever. And, you know, always wonder about, like, you know, the fraught nature of sex and the, you know, obviously the fraught nature of pregnancy, right? Like, any woman who gets pregnant and got pregnant at the time knew there was a not insignificant chance that there was, you know, that you would come up with no living baby, or that you would not know if you had a living baby because you would die, right? So, like, I would think that might make sex a little bit fraught for men too. I would like to hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they might, like, wonder if they were at fault for, like, the wife dying, or even when history shows you just, you know, they just go get another one, right? But that the psychology behind that, like, that maybe that's partially why sex and death go together, because sometimes they do, you know?
Sure.
And so, you know, I felt like that was in the movie, although, again, I do not think the movie is telling me that Linton killed Kathy, right? Like,
Okay.
pining for Heathcliff did, which of course means she killed herself because she got herself in this fucking situation.
So of course this does not cover everything in the book. In the book the
This is
baby,
like the first half of the book,
yes,
right?
in the book the baby does survive and is named Kathy, because that's not confusing at all. And
That's pretty normal 19th century shit.
Kathy comes back as a ghost and haunts the moors, because it's also a horror novel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know.
And Heathcliff like tortures the next generation, like tortures
Little Kathy,
little
too.
Kathy, because
Yes.
little Kathy marries somebody else.
So it
and
just
like
keeps going.
Yeah, and so he's like a mean, evil asshole to all of them.
Yeah, it's
until he's an old man and then
so,
he just poops out, right?
Yeah, it's cycles of violence and abuse. It's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
The movie,
why is that romantic?
The
I don't
movie
even
just wants to
fucking know.
focus on these two people who literally are doomed, and they keep saying they're doomed. They keep talking about being doomed and damned and everything else in this movie.
And I get doomed romance. Like in the movie, they have the first time you see Isabella, she's talking about Romeo and Juliet, right?
Yeah.
Like, and why couldn't they just figure it out and survive? And you know, it's like, yes, I do get what you're telling me in by talking about Romeo and Juliet in this story. Romeo and Juliet has a more satisfying set of plot and a more satisfying ending.
All right. So this video
and fewer assholes.
This video is already getting way too long for a movie that you kind of liked, that I loved. I just love it as
I love you, darling.
I don't love it as a
I don't have to
realistic.
understand everything about you.
I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's intended to be realistic. I don't think it's...
Do you think it's romantic?
No. It's
Okay.
anti-romantic.
Okay, anti-romantic.
It's a critique of passion.
Critique of romance. Critique of passion.
It's a critique of passion, of love stories, yeah.
Okay.
As you and I know, real love is about, like, actually being good to each other and nourishing each other and like finding a place to be together that's safe and good and warm. Yeah. Not this weird thing where you're just like a spear thrown through life and who knows what it's going to hit. I think it's...
That's why you're the writer, man. That was great.
Yeah, no. We have real love. Mwah. There you go. Not quite our Valentine's Day special, but close enough.
God. I can't imagine. We absolutely should have done a doubleheader in this movie on the same day. Yes, that's what should have been this year's Barbenheimer.
Okay.
That would have been utterly perfect.
That is an excellent point.
I might be wrecked as a human by seeing both those movies in the same day, but that would have been hilarious. Little did I know.
Anyway, we can't recommend it or not recommend it, I guess. We're split on this.
I don't even know what to tell you, because I
kind of liked it. It was compelling.
Sure, in the sense that there was definitely a point where I'm like, I would absolutely have been totally satisfied with going to see an art exhibition of still photographs or paintings of many of the scenes of this movie that are just visually striking. And I would actually have been more intrigued by trying to like make up my own story for what this moment was, right? But if you've read the book, I would assume you would be dissatisfied because it's so different from the book. It's
very different from the book.
If you don't like the book, then why would you see it? I don't know who to tell to recommend to see it.
I read the book in high school. It made so little impression on me that I don't even know what is from the book and what's not in this. But I know what's not from the book in this, and it's all the sex. Anyway, so there you go. That's what we got.
Wuthering Heights.
Until next time.
Bye.